G'day folks, I'm Wren, they, them. Today I'm gonna show you some books but not tell you why. So, PickPong is coming up. It is happening in August. If you don't know what PickPong is, it is a readathon based off Krystal from Bond Book Review's TBR game. And in this round, things are getting competitive. So I will leave all of the details down below. If I can, I'll at least link Krystal's announcement video. But for this year, we're doing teams, and I am one of the team co-hosts. Literary Pongsters for the win. Oh my god, I didn't even twig that I put on green this morning, and green is our team color. Subconsciously winning at life. Who knew? The way this round goes is that you have 3 co-hosts for your team, and each of them will play PickPong for 3 prompts. So in total, you get 9 prompts per team, and you won't know the prompts until the readathon starts. I have been made aware of the prompts for my team, not just my own, but for my 2 co-hosts as well, Amy from A Star Reads and Neva from Reading with Neva. Together, there are 9 prompts. Krystal suggested that we do like a possible TBR. I was like, that sounds cool. How about some possible recommendations as well? So what I'm gonna do is for each of the 9 prompts, I am going to give you 2 recommendations and 2 books that I might read during August. They all fit the prompt, but I'm not gonna tell you what the prompt is. It would be fun to see if anyone can pick the prompts down below, try and figure out what some of the prompts are. I also tried to do both with the recommendations and the possible TBRs. I tried to make them longish because for PickPong, every page is 1 point and we want to win. I also tried to make either all of the books or most of the books either be queer or BIPOC or indie because you get extra points for any of those 3. So let's see if I can do this whole video without me actually saying what all the prompts are. For the first prompt, I'm obviously going to recommend 2 of my favorite books of all time. Because I can, they fit the prompt and it works, okay? So first up is Wolf Song by TJ Klune. Ooh, my favorite book of all time. I love this book so much. This is the first in the Green Creek series. Favorite series of all time. It is a paranormal, queer found family, werewolf romance book series. Really bad explanation, but each book follows a different character and then kind of their love story, but it's not about the romances, because yes, each book follows a couple and their progress of like getting together, getting to know each other, falling in love, all that kind of thing. But these books are so much more about the overall plot that is happening in each book individually and across the entire series. But it's also way more focused on the found family vibe. Like no one does found family like TJ Klune, in all honesty. But it is queer, so it will get you extra points for that. And then the next one, just because I can and it fits, Lord of the Rings. Specifically, this is the first one, Fellowship of the Ring. Isn't this just such a pretty cover? But, I mean, you all know what Lord of the Rings is about. 4 hobbits go to Mordor to destroy a ring. There's a group of people that help them to do the thing. Worst explanation of Lord of the Rings ever. But, I mean, you all know, right? You all know. But this is amazing. Unfortunately, this is not indie published or by a BIPOC author or any kind of BIPOC representation, and it's not queer. But if I could put Lord of the Rings on a TBR or anything, I was gonna do it. Alright, then for the books that I will possibly read for this prompt, and I'm scared of both of them. So first up, we have The Crown of Gilded Bones by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is book 3 in the Blood and Ash series. I have been putting this off since it came out. 2021, I bought this when it first came out. I don't know why I put this off for so long, but I did. Blood and Ash series is a fantasy romance series. There is this girl called Poppy. She is the maiden, so she's kind of been like shut away from everything and everyone because she's meant to be like pure and all that kind of stuff. And then she kind of falls in love with one of her guards who is new there, and secrets are revealed, the truth of being a maiden is revealed, and then she kind of like escapes with the guard and stuff happens, but it's good. It's really hard to describe without giving away all of the big main plot plot points, but I'm sure everyone knows the plot points, but in case you don't, go read it. It's such a fun time. So these are large books, which is probably why I put it off for so long, but I read the first two very quickly. So surely I would read the third one just as quickly. And like, I definitely need to be reading more of my series. I just did my series check-in video, which I'm not doing too good on. So this could help if I read it, but it's so big. And the next possible is again, a book I've been putting off for ages. Muse of Nightmares by Laini Taylor. I know why I put this off. Strange the Dreamer is the first one. This is just a duology. And I read Strange the Dreamer maybe January 2022, I believe. It was amazing. I really, really loved it. And again, I think I read it physically, which was like unheard of for me. It took me the entire month to read that book. So I think that's one of the reasons why I put this off, because I'm like, I don't have time to just spend an entire month on one book. So Strange the Dreamer was about this guy called Laszlo Strange. He was like kind of obsessed with this, I don't know, like mystical world or like forgotten world kind of thing. He seemed to be like the only one that could kind of remember it. And then one day these people from this world come and ask this like royal people for help, and Laszlo goes along with them, and they're kind of fighting these blue creatures, gods or deities type things. They have a lot of like powers and stuff. It was a really interesting fantasy story. So it would be cool to see how that all like wraps up in this one. But I don't want to spend an entire month reading a book. Anyways, the second prompt, Radiance by Grace Draven. This is the first in the, what are they called? The Wraith King? I think the series name is called The Wraith Kings. This is a fantasy romance about this kind of more human-like person getting, it's not like an arranged marriage, but it's I guess like a marriage of convenience, because they're trying to form peace within these two races. So she is getting married to this guy who is definitely more orc-like in appearance. They've never met before their wedding day. Just before they're about to get married, they like kind of meet each other, and then they talk about how revolting they find each other's race. And it's so funny that they're just like you repulse me, but it's in the funniest way. They have this really lovely friendship throughout their marriage, and like they really get to know each other, and then they start falling for each other. It's so cute. I love this book so much. It's so good. This is indie published, so we get that. And then the next recommendation is Sawkill Girls by Claire Legrand. This is a YA horror, and it's about this girl coming to this town. Her sister went missing there. So she's kind of trying to figure out how her sister went missing and all that kind of stuff. But she kind of becomes friends with these two girls, and one of them she like suspects is kind of responsible for her sister's disappearance, or like she knows something, and trying to figure out why a lot of girls go missing in this town. And it was very interesting, and it did have some definite creepy moments. Great vibes. This is queer. Two of the girls are sapphic, and they have a little like romancy kind of thing happening. So that was awesome. And then the third girl is asexual, and I loved the asexual rep in this, because it was like one of the first times I had seen an asexual person like in a relationship, or like kind of learning how to be in a relationship with someone who wasn't asexual. Such an important representation, and I really liked how that was handled. And then the ones that are on my possible TBR. The first one is True Love Bites by Joy Demora. I have this on Kindle. So this is the first in the Hunger Pangs series. So it's indie published, which is great. And it's also queer, which again, super great. This is about a throuple. Yeah, so a captain returns home injured from the war, but he gets posted on an island full of vampires. An island whose local vampire dandy lord causes him to feel strange things he's never felt before, particularly about fangs. That's funny. He gets hired by this vampire as the captain of the guard. Then he falls in love with a disabled werewolf. Don't know where the werewolf comes in. That might be the woman. I'm so confused. I think there's just a lot of people that this guy's falling in love with. I'm really not explaining this well, but it's a long synopsis. So there is this kind of age-old tale of vampires versus werewolves, But then what happens when they fall in love? Thrown together in uncertain times and struggling to find their place amidst the rising human empire, the unlikely trio must decide how to face the coming darkness. United as one or divided and alone. So I don't know, but I'm just so obsessed with this cover. It's so cute. Then the next possible is One Night in Heartswood by Emma Denny. This is a queer historical romance. So we have Oxford 1360. When his sister's betrothed vanishes the night before her arranged marriage, Ralph Barden must track and return the elusive groom to restore his family's honour. Yeah, that's why I wanted to read it, because that sounded fun. William de Foucault, known to his friends as Pen, had no choice but to abandon his intended and his own earldom when he fled the night before his enforced marriage. But ill-equipped to survive on the run, he must trust the kindness of a stranger Ralph to help him escape. Ooh, fun. Unaware their fates are already intertwined, their unexpected bond deepens into a far more precious relationship. One that will test all that they hold dear. Ooh, this sounds good. This actually kind of reminds me of a Steric fanfic that I love. But yeah, this sounds super fun, and it'll be queer, so good points for that. And I am very much looking forward to this one as well. So prompt number 3 for the recommendations. We have The Boy from the Mish by Gary Lonesborough. This is a queer YA First Nations book. And it's about this guy coming to stay with this other guy for the Christmas and summer holidays, and they have to share a room, not a bed, but they share a room, and they get to become friends through it. You know, they slowly start to develop feelings for each other. Like, it's so much more than that. This also has like a lot of heart, and so there's this like kind of deepening connection of this boy maybe kind of finding his roots, because he very much felt untethered at the beginning of the book, whereas at the end it's like, okay, he's starting to almost like trust himself and the people around him. So that was a beautiful kind of journey that he was on. And then the other boy also goes on a bit of a journey because he is realizing he's gay. He also has to deal with some of his friends or people that he knows that are not super supportive of that, which can be very scary, especially being a teenager in like a small town where he's already kind of othered because he's First Nation. So then to put like another kind of label on top of him is a bit kind of scary for him. It's just like they're both separately going through a lot, but they can find kind of comfort in each other. But it's just the most softest, sweetest book ever, and I love it. I read this in like a day. And the next possible is again one of my favorites, because of course I'm going to recommend all my favorites. That is Delilah Green Doesn't Care by Ashley Herring Blake. So again, a queer book. This is an adult sapphic romance book, and it has the trope of single parent, and then we also have sister's best friend. So this is about Claire and Delilah, and Delilah has come to photograph her family's engagement and wedding procedure. And there she kind of falls for Claire, who is her stepsister's best friend. There's like a lot of complicated feelings there because they've known each other like since they were in their tweens, and they slowly start to like form a relationship and really fall for each other. But then there are those complicated relationships around like the people they know. But I am obsessed with Ashley Herring Blake. Like, they can do no wrong. Phenomenal. And like, you see all those tabs? This is like one of the first books I ever tabbed. It was so fun. What are my tabs? Gay, funny, and relatable. Yep. And then for the possibles on my TBR, first up we have Nova Praetorian by N.R. Walker. This is on my Kindle. It's obviously an indie published book, and it's queer. So this is obviously a historical queer romance. It is set during the time of like ancient Rome, but this is about a gladiator, my favorite, and he seems to fall for a ludus guard, and a ludus is the place where gladiators, like, they sleep there, they eat there, and they train there. And it is owned by a Lannister, who like owns all of the gladiators, basically. Gonna try and not go on like a gladiator tangent because I love gladiators. I mean, that's honestly all I needed to know. There is a lot of things in this regarding slavery because a lot of gladiators were prisoners of war. Thrown into a world of politics and conspiracy, of keeping enemies close, they move against time to save Rome before traitors and the gods themselves see to their end. And in doing so, see the dawn of the Nova Praetorian, the new guard, rise. I don't know, I really didn't need to know much about this. I saw the cover, saw the author, and I was like, yep, that one's for me. And then the next possible on my TBR is Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas. This is technically book 1 of the Hate U Give duology. This is the prequel to The Hate U Give, but this is following Star's dad. So if you read The Hate U Give, Star was the main character, and this is following her dad when he was a teenager. I am really scared about reading this because it took me so long to read The Hate U Give because I was so worried about emotions, and I feel like this is going to be the same. It's going to give me a lot of emotions, but it's probably going to be just as fantastic as The Hate U Give. Like, The Hate U Give was 5 stars. Maverick needs to help take care of his mum, so the way he does that is by becoming a drug dealer. But then he finds out that he's going to be a dad, and he doesn't want his kids to, you know, be around drugs in the same way that, you know, he might have been. He's trying to step away from that side of his life while still being able to support his family. I think it's going to be really hard hitting. I also think this is going to be phenomenal. Okay, for prompt number 4, I'm not actually going to give you any recommendations or a TBR because it's one of those prompts where I couldn't narrow it down. So instead, I'm just like, I'll leave it up to everyone. But there are some recommendation videos that I've already put out over however long I've been on BookTube. So I will list all of them below. We've got ones like my queer A to Z recommendations, a couple of my 5 Fridays as well. There's an underrated trans one. There's a queer historical one that does the, like, recommending the L, the G, the B, the T, and the A. So there's a bunch of those, all of them obviously queer, so you can get extra points that way. But have a look through all of them. You will definitely find something there within all of those once you know the prompt. Okay, for prompt number 5. This first one that I'm going to recommend, it's not as long at all as any of these, so you don't get as much points, but it fit the prompt, and I always want to talk about this. So that is going to be Sync Volume 1, Welcome to Glasgow by John Lees, Alex Cormack, Sean Lee, and Colin Bell. So this is a comic. It is a horror comic, and I just gotta... Is that not the best? So this is a horror comic. It is obviously set in Glasgow, Scotland. It's written in the dialect, but like as you're reading it, you can hear the Scottish accent because of how it's written. So that was just absolutely phenomenal. But this is about a town. The people aren't what you would call good people. It's basically a town where all the bad people in society live. So that makes it very fun. There's like several different little stories in here about different characters in the town. Sinkhill is a hive of crooks, deviants, and killers, and ordinary folk unfortunate enough to live among them. If killer clowns prowl the streets in a blue van, a shovel-wielding vigilante in a fox mask serves brutal justice after dark, and the last bus home is always full of corpses, you must be in Sinkhill. So good. My favourite story in this is about a trans woman. She used to live in this town before she transitioned, and she left, transitioned, and she had to come back. She walks into a bar, there's a lot of transphobes, and she's like, "What did you say?" And then beats the ever-living crap out of everyone. It's so good. This is such a good comic, and I can't believe how I found this. So I was just at the library one day. Max and I usually go and just like scour a library whenever we meet up, and we always end up looking through like the manga and the comics, and I was just like flipping through and I saw this cover and I was like, whoa, cool cover. And then I saw it was set in Scotland, and I'm like, say less, of course I want to read this. And then I read it, 5 stars, I bought it, it's amazing, one of my favorites of all time. But this will definitely count for indie because this is like self-published, and it also counts for queer because there's a queer character in there. And then the next recommendation, again, another one of my favorites, is Out of the Blue by Jason June. Oh, I love this so much. And it's about this mer person who, like, in their kind of merfolk culture, there's a kind of like coming of age ritual where you have to go on land and you spend like a month there, and the goal is to help a human do something. And once you help a human, you're able to return to the sea and, you know, like become, you know, one of the elders and all this kind of stuff. We have this lifeguard, and he's plus size, which is awesome. He just got dumped by his boyfriend, and he sees this person kind of struggling on the beach. So obviously, being a lifeguard, he goes and helps, and they have like a bit of a connection, and it turns out to be this mer person who they are non-binary. That gets discussed in this, which is awesome. Kind of like all merfolk kind of are non-binary. Some of them definitely choose more specific genders, but kind of just as a species, they're non-binary, which I love, so good. And then because these two meet, this lifeguard, he's like, would you want to help me make my ex-boyfriend jealous and pretend to date me? And so that's what they do. So it's fake dating. I love fake dating so, so much. And then for my possible TBRs, we have Wrong Answer Only by Tobias Madden. This is obviously by an Australian author, so that's very cool. And this is queer, so you get those points. This is about a guy going to live on a cruise ship for a while in the Mediterranean with his estranged uncle because he had a panic attack, and people are like, don't go to university just yet. Go like de-stress for a while. He goes on this cruise ship, and what happens is like his best friend says, you've done everything right your whole life. Maybe that's stressing you out. So how about you start doing things wrong and see where that takes you. So like that sounds very fun. And then he ends up hooking up with a hot dancer from the ship. And then the next possible TBR for this one is You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Akweke Emezi. I am so intimidated to read this. I love Akweke Emezi. This is so different from all of their other stuff that it makes me a little bit nervous, but I know Meredith from Bin Chicken Books, this is one of her favorite books, so I'm gonna give it a go. So this person goes on a dream holiday. Oh, and she decides to have a bit of a romance, but it's like the problem is she's falling for the one man she absolutely can't have. So I don't know what that means. So this is an adult romance, but again, I have an audiobook for this because that's how I've listened. Like that's how I've like consumed all of Akweke Emezi's works, even if I own them, because I don't know, their audiobooks are just really good. All right, prompt number 6. How are you going? Have you figured any out yet? Please let me know. So the first for the recommendations is Aftermath by L.A. Witt. This I have on my Kindle. This is part of the Vino and Veritas series, which has multiple authors. You don't need to read them in order. They're all like separate stories. They're just set in the same small town. I just reread it recently, so like it's very fresh in my mind. So I definitely wanted to recommend it if I could. This is queer and indie, so you'll get extra points for that. And this is about a former hockey player, but he's no longer able to play anymore because he had a really, really bad accident and he can't play hockey anymore. And he's really struggling with chronic pain and just all of the injuries done to his body. So it is very kind of emotional and hard-hitting in that fact, where like a lot of like chronic pain is talked about and, you know, dealing with the recovery from his injuries and from the surgeries from that. So that is like very prevalent and heavy. Okay, so the lighting and everything has changed immensely. It is several hours later. My battery died and then I had to go do my day. I also don't remember what I stopped filming at. I know I was talking about Aftermath. Great book, go read it. Hopefully I explained it enough this morning to like entice you to want to read it, but it's great. It's queer, it's got a lot of good chronic pain rep, small town romance, single parent romance. It's a good time. An emotional time, but a good time. The second recommendation is Cursed Cocktails by S.L. Rowland. This is a cozy fantasy book and it is queer and indie published. This is so much fun. So this is very much a, if you like Legends and Lattes, read this. But if you don't like Legends and Lattes, read this. I did not like Legends and Lattes, but I read this, 5 star. So it is very much the same kind of concept. We have a guy coming to a new town because he's just left the, not like the military, but you know, he left service, let's kind of put it that way. And he's so like now technically retired, and he's trying to figure out what to do with his life. So he ends up at this town. He has this like journal of his father's that his dad wrote down a bunch of cocktail recipes that he learnt from other people during his travels. And so with the help of a bartender from that town, they open up cursed cocktails and sell these cocktails. It's very cozy fantasy, like not much happens, but definitely a lot does happen. Yeah, it's hard to explain like cozy fantasies because I'm just like, they cozy. And that's the point, and it's great. And now to the two books that I will possibly be reading for this prompt. First is 16 Souls by Rosie Talbot, but this is a YA paranormal queer book. So it's set in York, which is very cool, and it's about a seer named Charlie. He's 16, so definitely YA. He teams up with a new seer in town and a ragtag group of spirits, I love that, to help with a bunch of disappearances that have been happening. I think I always get this wrong. I think the main character has a lower limb amputation. Kirsty is yelling at me right now because she loves this book, which makes me want to read it even more. But this is very much a my vibe type of book. It's about people that can see ghosts. I love. It's set in York, so like creepy setting. Love that. It's about ghosts, so love that. And it's queer. Also love that. So this sounds really good, and Kirsty absolutely loves it, so I really hope that I'm gonna like this as well. And then the next possibility for this prompt is 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. This is a adult romance. It is BIPOC. This is about these two people who fall in love over 7 days, but there's some kind of like they're both romance authors, I believe. Oh, I don't know if they're both romance authors, but they are both authors. So she's a single mother and a best-selling erotica writer, but she's feeling very, very stressed. And then he's an award-winning novelist. They both show up at New York. What? When Shane and Eva meet at a literary event, sparks fly, raising not only their buried traumas, but also the eyebrows of the black literati. What? Why is that an issue? I'm so intrigued. What no one knows is that 15 years earlier, teenage Eva and Shane spent one crazy, torrid week madly in love. While they may be pretending not to know each other, they can't deny their chemistry. Or the fact that they've been secretly writing to each other in their books through the years. Oh my god, that's adorable. Ooh, this sounds so good. But yeah, really looking forward to reading this. So for prompt number 7, the recommendations I'm going to give are I Was Born for This by Alice Oseman. This is a YA about this band and one of their fans. But it's kind of about this fan is headed to her friend's place to go and see this band play live. And she met the friend through like an online fandom for this group. But then we have the band members and they're going through some stuff. The band member that we're following, he's trans, and so we got queer rep there, lovely. But he has anxiety, like severe anxiety, which like doesn't help when you're in the public eye. And this band is very popular right now. They're up and coming, so they get a lot of attention, and that is stressful when you can't leave your own house to just like go pick up bread, like otherwise you'll get swarmed. That's a very stressful situation. So there's a lot of that going on, and then everyone kind of meets and deals with their issues, and it's a good time. And then the next recommendation is Darius the Great Is Not Okay by Adib Khorram. I'm obsessed with this book. So this is queer and BIPOC rep, so you get extra points for those. This is a YA novel about this young biracial boy who is going to Iran for the first time. He's going there with his family to see their grandparents. And while he's there, he's you know, like when he's in America, he's always felt too Persian, and then he goes to Iran and he feels too American. So he really struggles a lot with that. He's also struggling with depression. So he was diagnosed, he's on medication. His father is similarly diagnosed with depression and is on medication, but they really butt heads a lot. But like Darius is going through so much during this whole book. But this is so underrated, and I wish more people would read this because it's phenomenal. I've reread this a few times, and every time I've read it within a day. Because again, I can't put it down. It's so captivating. Like, you really connect with Darius and with what he's going through, and like you just want to see him succeed. You know, you want him to have a happy life, and you want him to resolve things with his dad. You want him to find his place in the world. And it's just, it's soft and sad, but beautiful. And then for the possibles on my TBR, we have The Longing of Lone Wolves by Lana Petrachik. So this is the first in the Fae Guardian series. This is on my Kindle, and I've been meaning to read it for so long. So Rush is a Fae Guardian, a wolf shifter, whose enhanced abilities have made him a ruthless protector of Elfine. His job is to protect the realm from the human enemy. Fair. And to ensure the sins of the past never come to pass again, lest his magic die, or lest magic die forever. It was his job until half a century ago, when he allowed one night of weakness to distract him from his job. His punishment was a curse worse than death. Now a ghost, he spends his lonely time longing to be part of the living, once again protecting them from monsters, until one washes up on the shores of his lake. A human woman that can see him. If he hands her over to the Order, she's his ticket to having his curse removed. But the more he learns about this human, the more he realizes maybe she's not the monster he's trained to believe. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I am so keen. Oh, apparently it's The Witcher meets Beauty and the Beast. A heart-stopping new epic fantasy romance featuring a band of brothers, shifters, fae protectors, and their strong-willed women from our time. It sounds like so much fun. I've heard such good things about this, so I am very, very keen to give it a go. And then the next possible is Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail by Ashley Herring Blake. So this is book 2 in the Bright Falls trilogy. I think it's just the trilogy, but again, this is sapphic, so you get queer bonus points. So this is following Astrid, who was the sister from the first book. Saying she's very uptight sounds mean, but that's kind of how she was portrayed. And I think in this one, she's like loosening up a little bit and realizing she's queer, which is very, very fun. But she's got a new project. The lead carpenter is Jordan, and it seems like tensions run pretty high between these two, but then obviously romance. This looks like it would be very fun. Ooh, love this. It's time for Astrid to decide if she's going to pursue the life that she's expected to, or the one that she really wants to. Love that, because all I wanted from Astrid from the first book, I just wanted her to just like be herself. So I really am looking forward to this one, and I think I'll go through this fairly quickly, because I love Ashley Herring Blake. All right, for prompt number 8, for the recommendations, we're gonna go with Wheeler, the Kuri Warrior. This is book 1, Guardians, by Jordan Gould and Richard Pritchard. I was desperately trying to find a way to put Wheeler into these recommendations, and it fits enough for this prompt, so I'm going for it. This is a middle grade story. You will get BIPOC extra points for this because this is a First Nations story and written by 2 First Nations people. I keep forgetting to look up what time period it is. It's really frustrating, but in the time of megafauna, Wheeler is kind of on a mission to become the Kuri Warrior, and she has to do that because all of her tribe's people and animals were all taken by dragons and humans riding dragons. So they're all stolen and put in cages, and she is trying to rescue them, you know, rescue the people, rescue the animals, and stop the dragons from doing whatever it is that they're doing. To do that, she has to find some totems. Once she has all of the totems and their related guardians, then she will have enough power to become the Kuri Warrior. This series is phenomenal. And then something that is very different from that is The Lightning Struck Heart by TJ Klune. This is the first in the Tales of Verania series. This is indie published and queer, so you get those extra points. This is definitely adult. This first book had me cackling. I have never read a book this funny before. It's so good. But this is very much a historical fantasy type of novel. We have Sam, who is the apprentice to the king's wizard. That's it. So Sam has magical powers. He is in training to become the king's wizard. His two best friends that are always on these crazy adventures with him. We have Tilly, who's a half giant, and Tilly just wants to smash. And then we have Gary, the hornless gay unicorn. Gary is a time. Gary just needs an R rating just for himself. But what I love about their little friendship is that they are ride or die for each other. They will literally scorch the earth to save each other. Sam has a crush on the knight commander. Unfortunately, that knight is engaged to the prince. And then the prince gets captured by a dragon. Interesting times there. So then the knight commander, Sam, Tilly, and Gary go on a quest to save the prince. And shenanigans happen from there. Tilly and... oh, did I keep saying Tilly instead of Tiggy? Oh my god, how silly of me. I was thinking of Meredith's cat. Whoopsies. For my possible TBR for this prompt is Enemies of the State by Tal Bauer. I don't own this, but I've been so intrigued to read it. Ever since Steph from Novelty Corner first talked about it, she raved so much about this series and I was so intrigued. And it's queer and indie published. So a rogue black ops unit with the president in their crosshairs. A secret service agent who will break every rule. A president falling for the one person he shouldn't, a man. So yeah, it's the secret service agent and the president having a romance while trying to, I don't know, not have a romance because he's in the public eye. As the two men collide, rules are shattered and the world teeters on the verge of war. And a rogue Black Ops unit bent on destruction sets the president in their deadly crosshairs. So good. Going back to fanfic, but I really loved the bodyguard romances. And this seems like it's going to be that. So that sounds like a fun time for me. The next book that is a potential is Lovelight Farms by B.K. Borison. This is a contemporary romance. This is set on a Christmas tree farm and these people fall in love. I don't know, it's so popular, but this sounds like it could be cute and just, I don't know, everyone seems to love it. Oh, but this does say that there's fake dating and I do love fake dating. It's my favorite trope. So this has potential and I definitely want to understand the hype with this. All right, so we have made it to the very final prompt number 9 for the Literary Pongsters. So first up, my 2 recommendations. First one is The Disasters by M.K. England. This is a queer YA sci-fi book, so you get the queer bonus points for this. Nice. Yeah, these 4 people were like at this academy to learn, like this space academy, to learn more stuff so they could go and do the space exploration thing. I know I'm not explaining it well. We've established this, okay? But then there is an attack on the academy and these 4 manage to escape and now they're on the run because the authorities think that they were the ones behind the attack. When they weren't, they were the ones that witnessed it. So it's a very fun, fast-paced, it almost feels like a movie with the way that, you know, it's just action after action kind of thing, but there is a plot and the main character is bisexual. But that was really nice to have that representation, especially with the main character being a guy. Like, we don't often get male bisexual rep, so it was really good to have that in this. But this is really fun, really fast paced. I read this really quickly and have very fond memories because it was just fun. Then the next recommendation is If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. This is a queer, bonus points, what is it called? Dark academia. So this is about a group of college students, or are they like the upper PhD people. I don't know. They're all in the like theater department. And we start the book in the present, where one of the members of this theatre group was in prison. Then we go back in time 10 years to when the event happened, on why this man was sent to prison. And we have to, I guess, kind of figure out why this particular person went to prison and what sent them to prison, but who actually did it, because he keeps saying that he's innocent. So this has a lot of Shakespearean mentions, because they are doing a Shakespearean play. I think the entire thing, they're just 7 young Shakespearean actors. Part coming of age story, part confession, If We Were Villains explores the magical and dangerous boundary between art and life. In this tale of loyalty and betrayal, madness and ecstasy, the players must choose what roles to play before the curtain falls. It's a good time. I really enjoyed this, but I really love theatre queers, and that's what this is. It was a very fun time for me. I think the main character was bisexual. It was such a fun time. And then for the books that I would like to read for this prompt, the first one is A Tale of Two Florists by Brenna Bailey. This is on my Kindle. So this is queer and indie, so I get lots of extra bonus points there, which is very fun, which is also really helpful because this is a shorter read, unfortunately. But I really, really want to read this. Also, isn't the cover just adorable? It's so cute. So this is literally just a contemporary romance story about 2 women in the 70s, 80s? Okay, so it says, A Tale of Two Florists is the first title in the Juniper Creek Golden Years queer contemporary romance series. If you like Golden Years enemies to lovers romance and enchanting small towns, you'll fall in love with this playful, light-hearted romp through Juniper Creek with Minnie and Eleanor. It does sound very cute. I didn't know they were enemies to lovers. That's kind of cool. Oh, do they both own a flower shop? Rightio. I understand now. I understand. And then the last book for this video, and that is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandanan. This is a romance book, and it's about witches in Britain. This is also BIPOC, so that is fun. Oh my god, there's a little doggy on the back. That's so cute. So it says, Mika has lived her life by 3 rules. Hide your magic, keep your head down, and stay away from other witches. An orphan raised by strangers from a young age, Mika is good at being alone, and she doesn't mind it. But then an unexpected message arrives, begging her to travel to the remote, mysterious Nowhere House to teach 3 young witches, and Mika jumps at the chance for a different life. Nowhere House is nothing like she expects, and she's quickly tangled up in the lives and secrets of its quirky, caring inhabitants. And with Jamie, the handsome, prickly librarian who would do anything to protect his charges, and who sees Mika's arrival as a threat. This sounds very fun. I just saw the words found family too. I love that. This sounds very cozy. I think this is a cozy fantasy romance, potentially. I don't know, but it sounds very cute. And I don't know, I've heard lots of good things. All right, so that is going to be it for this PickPong Team Literary Pongsters recommendation list, as well as possible TBR list. Please let me know all of your guesses down below on what you think the prompts are from all of the books I recommended. I won't tell you if you're right or not. I don't know. I'm gonna be replying with a whole bunch of fun emojis, so do with that what you will. I think this is gonna be really, really fun round. Please go check out Krystal's video to get all the information. Join up on a team. It's gonna be a great time. If you want to join the Literary Pongsters, please do. We're a fun time. And if you are taking part, remember to log your books every week. It's very important. And also, everyone, please try and remind me to log my books every week. That would be great. Thank you. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.